This conference will now be recorded.
Let me know if you are able to see my screen.
Yes, we were able to.
Yeah. So we'll try to understand about the web services and API and what is REST, introduction to the JSON, and installing the Postman for today, and also a sample API, like how do we use API in the Postman. Okay. So so have you okay. So just one question, like, so what is the meaning of this? Have you ever seen in your company, or if you are working in any of your project, have you seen this URL anytime? You have to respond now. Like, have you seen this URL anytime?
Yes,
Okay. So, what is the purpose of HTTPS?
that's a protocol.
Okay, fine. So, so first we'll discuss about the web services. Then we'll see why it is used in this format. So basically, web services are nothing but a network where following protocols will be happen. So let us imagine uh, there is a platform where you are giving some input, where your input is being passed to your server and from client server, and from the client server you're getting some response, and that response you're validating for your testing purpose. So the interaction is happening from your application to server, and from server you're getting a response with different kind of languages. Maybe it can be XML or any programming language, or any input can be any programming language basically. So it can be SOAP, REST, XML, text, HTML, anything. So your communication has is been uh, interacting with your server, and then you are getting some response. So this is where web service will work. So, and that is the purpose of using web services is also nothing but to interact with your server. So it can be whenever you are uh, opening any form. Let's say there is an employee who wants to register in one of the company. So he just enters the uh, fields: username, employee name, employee ID, address, everything. So whenever he enters into that form, once the data is saved, it will go to the server, it will save the details over there, and it will be giving some response like so and so employee has been created, and it will return some value. So whenever some value is getting returned and it is storing in the server, then you see that that is an HTTPS protocol. Okay. If you have any questions now, you can ask till here. Okay, I'm assuming that you have understood what I said. Now let us try to understand about the protocols. What is protocol? So this is the one protocol where uh, interaction will be happening between the client server and your UI. So web services description language. So this is basically related to the network part. So when you try to hit any API, there are few communications which is happening at the server side, and you will be getting some response. So this network will collect all the this network will identify whether which kind of language it is, and then so that only web services will understand this language. If you go and see any other platform, then there will be a different kind of language, but when it comes to web services, this kind of language can be understood by the only network side. Okay. Any questions, guys? Hello. Okay.
Yeah, as of now, no, Vijay.
Okay. So now let us try to understand about the API, and then we'll see the differences between the both the web services and API in detail. So basically, API means an application programming interface. So I'm assuming that most of the people who joined the session today has some understanding about some programming language, so that I can explain or give some examples on the API part, based on programming language. So uh, so let us assume that you have a okay. So there is a fun function. So function name is employee info. So here you need to pass the name, employee name, uh, his salary, his phone number, and his employee ID. So only these things can be unique. Here the unique part is the employee ID. So based on that, we are storing the information of the employee. These three can be same. I mean the phone number cannot be same, but most of the values can be same in the phone number. But these two can be same. But employee ID won't be, it will be the unique one.
Vijay, I'm not able to see your screen.
Yeah. Can you see now? Let me share again. Yeah, can you see now?
Yes, now we are able to
Now,
see.
now we're able to
Okay. Okay. So there is a one function called employee info. So we have a name, salary, phone, and employee ID as a parameter to that function. So this will return a employee ID whenever this function has been triggered in your application. So now what happening is there is a company XYZ is a company, and we all are the end users who will be using this function to get the employee info. So what he will say that instead of using my application, I'll give you an API so that you can use that API to fetch the information of this XYZ company. So we what we'll do, so we'll take this API or the endpoints from the XYZ company, we'll pass the details to the employee info function, and it will return some employee ID. So that is the scenario where we need to understand about how the interaction is happening with one server to another server. So one HTTP request to another HTTP request. So I'm using this employee function, and I'll be passing some data like J 10, some random phone numbers, and some my employee ID. So this will return some value. Again, I'll be passing uh, some info to fetch the employee information, some random phone number and employee ID. It will return some value. So, so this interaction is happening with the HTTP request with one of the server, and it is giving some value. So it is coming from the server response. So this is your response. So whenever we are using API, so you're giving some input, and you will be getting some response from the server. So this is an API. If you I can give you one more better example. So I think most of us have used Make My Trip, or Go Ibibo, uh, and Skyscanner. These are the apps where we try to book the flight or bus or train uh, from different platforms. So if you want to book a flight on Indigo, so you'll be using Make My Trip. So Make My Trip is your XYZ. I mean, it is an employee where he will be fetching the information of Indigo, or he will be fetching the information of SpiceJet. And there are many platforms. So this is the way API will work on the backend. So the XYZ company won't be he won't be showing how the employee info function has been developed, but he will be just giving an API so that end user can use his employee info function and perform some actions. Any doubts, guys?
No, Vijay.
Hope you are understanding now.
Yes, Vijay.
Yeah. So don't worry, the theoretical part, or uh, the the notes whatever I am writing, I'll be sharing with the team. So they'll be sharing with your email IDs. So don't worry about that. But try to understand what I'm saying. Even if you are not able to understand, watch this video or ask some questions in your call. And then if you're not able to understand, just uh, ask me one more time. I can help you with the all the details. Okay, so now let us understand about the how the APIs will work uh, from the in the real-time application. So to understand about the APIs, so most of the communication will be happen from the different software systems. So there is one software. So one from software, there is a request which will hit the server, and it will get the response. So in the same way, it will happen in the real world also. So but using some protocols, it can be any programming language, it can be any HTML language, it can be any text language. So based on that protocol, you will be passing some info and getting the information of that uh, protocol. Okay. There are most of the time what happens is there will be some security. If you are using a real-time API, there will be some security. That security can be username password, or it can be some token where every time user should pass in order to fetch the information. Now, best example is to fetch the Indigo flight details. So what exactly you need to pass to get the flight details? Let's say you have an API, something like this. This is your flight PNR number. So what this will give? So this will give the your flight information. But when I hit this API, it is saying I am getting some error called 404. What could be the reason? Why Indigo is not allowing me to use this endpoint? Anyone? Anyone can answer. Okay. So Indigo is expecting some, since Indigo API has some security measures. So maybe either we haven't passed username and password, some access token, or the headers, or the client server details. So either of four, anything is missing while hitting this API. So that is the reason we are getting 404 error. Now what is 404 error, what is 201, what is 202, everything will be seen in the next class. But let us assume that there is some error. Whenever we hit this API, we are getting some error. So to understand about the security measures, either of this is missing in this API. So that is the reason we are getting this 404 error. So in the real time, if you take any API now in the from Google or from any other platform, so it will be easy. If you just take that API and hit that API, you will be getting some result. But in real time, it won't happen like that because of security measures. You need to follow some protocols so that you will be getting a valid information or valid response. So these security measures are very important. So it can be any of this username and password. Okay. So basically, and one more thing is, uh, this API will be visible only if you have an access to the network part. Else, you won't be able to see the this interface. So it can be stored in .jar file or .tmt file or in .net file or Python, anything. They can write in any programming language and store at the network part. If you have an access for that, you can see it. If you don't have an access, then you just can use the API details. That's it, by using some security measures. Any doubts, guys? You can ask some questions, else I'll move to the next topic. Okay. So I'm assuming you don't have any questions and you're able to understand the things. So now let us try to understand about the REST and SOAP. So what is REST? REST is something, it is a representational state transfer. So where you will be performing some operations based on the data so that you can fetch the information without zero performance. Okay. The data format can be again JSON, XML, plain text. Okay. So now one question here. So what do you mean by operations? Performing some operations. What do you expect? What kind of operation it is happening? Anyone can answer the question. No, if you are not aware of the answer also, it's fine. You can just attempt at least. What do you mean by the operations? Okay, so operations are nothing but it is a HTTP methods which can be get, post, put, delete. So if you uh, have some knowledge about the development part, then in the development or in the software industry, they call it as CRUD operations. CRUD operations, which means CRUD means C means create, R means retrieve, which means again get call, create means post, retrieve means get, U means update, which is nothing but put, T means delete. So in both the cases it is delete. In the rest part, post means create, get means retrieve, update means put, and delete means delete. So in the development side they call it as CRUD operations. In the rest terms it is called as post, put, get, delete. Okay, so we'll understand about this. So SOAP means simple object access protocol. So here the communication is happening from the one server to another server using same operations like post, put, delete, get. But the problem is in SOAP you have to be aware that it will support only one format of language, that is XML. And the communication is happening between one network to another network. So here the communication, the network can be your server or anything. So this is the way SOAP and REST will work. Rest of the things are common. So you will be having some status code in both the things. Again, the status code will be same like 202, 202, 404, 502, gateway problems, everything. So that things will be common in both the REST and so whatever today we are going to discuss, it will be very useful in terms of interview or in terms of API browser. Before understanding about the Postman or REST assured automation, you need to understand more about this. So the whenever you're sitting in the interview also, the most common question will be on this: how does API work? How the communication is happening? What is this? So basically, this point, the one which I'm highlighting, will be the important part to crack any interview. So don't worry, all these details I'll be sharing in terms of notes. So just read it. If you still have doubts, you can ask it now or tomorrow in the class as well. What we'll do is now we'll try to understand about the postman. So, so if you are in front of your laptops, I'll just tell you like how to install postman. So just do postman download, and you can download based on your OS platform. So mine is Mac, so I need to download from this. But if you are using uh, Windows or Ubuntu, then you can download according to your OS. You just need to click on download, it will download. So there is no much effort required to download the postman. It's very simple and easy to understand as well. So you can just download and sign in once. So once you sign in, okay. So this is the postman tool where you will be using for your manual API testing to perform some actions on that. So I'll just give you an overview of the tool also. So this is a collection. So if you see here, there is a collection called Backbase Go REST Lattice. So this is a one collection where you will be writing all your API details. So this is your base URL. This is your endpoint. Endpoint will happen the communication between the base URL and endpoint. Endpoint can be different, but base URL will be constant. So it can be your set environment or it can be your dev environment or any environment. That will be the common one. Only the different will be the endpoint. Again, endpoint will have a different set of parameters. So that we'll see in the going forward. So again, so this is one API. So everything we can create multiple files or multiple requests in one part of the collection. So go rest is a collection here. Okay. So I'll just create a one more collection here. Okay. Now add request. Before going to add the request, we'll see the so this is a sample API. So where you can understand the how the API works with the fake data. Okay. So this is an API. It says you can use the get operation and the response will be like this. Okay, so there are multiple endpoints here. So this is your endpoint, I mean this is your request and this is your response. Okay, so this is your base URL. Now what I'll do is I'll just open this in your different tab. See, so we'll see what is pretty print also when we work on automation. But for now time being, you understand pretty print. Pretty print will give you the response in a understandable out response. You can understand what is happening. There is page which is 2 per page 6, but if you see it is in a line by line format. But if you see in this format, it is in a proper JSON format. Okay, this till dot in is a base URL and this is your endpoint. Everything is your endpoint here. Single user, API user 23, list of resource, single resource. This is your endpoint. This is your base URL. Okay, so what we'll do is first we'll see the take the base URL. We can just take this as your complete endpoint URL and we'll create a, since this is a get request, you can say that user info. You can save this and you need to pass one header. Content type as application JSON, so which means your application will understand only in the JSON format. So hitting the request. So this is a fake API. Someone might have created this data and we are fetching the information of this request. So whenever you have a question mark, understand that it is a parameter. If you have a question mark, then it is a query parameter. Okay. So you will be getting some response 200k. The time of execution is 97 milliseconds. Size is 2.27 kb. See, the response is JSON. Let us say now I'm removing this header and saving this. What will be the response of this API? You have to answer. If I'm not giving the end the APIs on the JSON, what will be the output? Uh, Hello. You should answer. I'm waiting for your response.
It will show 200. Like if the page value 2 equal to true or not, it will show.
No, my question was like if I remove the header as a content type JSON and still I'm hitting the API, what will be the output? Will I be getting
Usually,
the same output or it will give you me some error?
yeah, it will show error because like we are not passing any like
Okay,
which language we want to get the output.
okay, okay. So let us execute once. We'll see. Then I'll explain. So I'm just changing to 4. Okay. So I think that value is not that, but fine. So even though if you are removing the header, we are getting the response. So the reason is here already this endpoint has been quoted in a JSON file format. And for fake APIs, the only disadvantage is it won't be same as real-time APIs. That is the reason we are getting the similar error. But when you go in your real-time application and try to hit the APIs without any headers, then see what is happening. You'll be getting some 400 error where whether you are missing some header values. Since it is in a fake API with fake data, that is the reason we are getting the output. The person who has developed this API has not followed the protocols of HTTP. So when we are following the HTTP protocols, you need to mention that if it is a JSON, then this output should be in this format. If it is not in JSON, then the output will be in a different format, or the status code should be changed in that way. So that is the reason we talk about the security when we talk about the API application programming interface. The security is so important that so no one can access it. You try to access Indigo APIs or the Amazon APIs. Best example is what you can do is go to Amazon, click on inspect, and go to the network tab. So this is your API. Try to access this. It says get 200k. When you hit this API, see whether you are getting 200 as a status code. Okay. The assignment for the today is you need to understand why you are getting why you, when you hit the API why you are not getting 200k. Try to understand that, then it will be easy for you to understand about the API or the security measures what we have discussed in this part. Okay, so we'll see one more API also. We'll see the post call now. So it says to register using email and password. So remember one thing: for get operation, you need to pass only the endpoint and the header value. But for post, you need to pass the body also. The body is this one. When you go to get call, see there is no body related request here. But when you go to the post call, you have a body. So this is your body in the JSON file. So I'll show you. So let me copy this URL. I'll create a one more request. Change to post. See, now I'm hitting the API. It says for not for unauthorized error. So I'm missing the body. So come click on draw and select the required language. So for us it is JSON. So copy this, pass here. Okay, I'm giving some random values, and also this can pass the and save it and the API. Okay, okay. So if you see here, so the error is we are missing some API key. The reason is we have not signed up using this email ID. That is the reason we are getting 401 on unauthorized. So the reason is we have not signed up using this email ID. Else it would have registered and it would have given us the 201 status code and the response. Okay. So let me do one thing. We'll try to log in. I think there is some issue at the API side, but the format is in this way only. You need to just pass the API details, the body details, and you need to pass the headers and hit the API request. So you'll be getting some response. uh, One second, let me see with okay. So this is one more API, so where I'm trying to create a product. So I'm just passing the product name as iPhone, and the price is 1 lakh, and I'm hitting the API. See, you got an error. Status code is 201, and the ID, the response, the slug, everything. You got some response, and this will create a response. So it is going. This API is hitting to the server, and you will be getting the response from the server by using this body. So you have any questions? So I think that is not working because of some issue, but I'll figure it out and I'll tell you tomorrow why it is not working. But for time being, you understand that on this there is another API called related to the products. Here I'm creating a product name as iPhone, and I'm passing the details, the price, description, category, and the image. So everything is here. This is a dummy value, but it is creating an protocol and it is saving the request, hitting the request, and we are getting some response. So, any doubts, guys?